This is Citrus TV News live at 6, your campus news leader.
Hello and welcome into News Live at 6. The Associated Press has called Donald Trump to be the 47th President of the United States.
That's right. The race was called earlier this morning with the Electoral College favoring the former president, currently at 277 votes to 224 for VP Harris.
We are now joined by political analysts Ronnie Perillo and Luke Radel. They're going to be breaking down the local, statewide, and national results. And reporter Abby Tolchin, who's live with student reactions to these races. But first, we're going to start with the presidency. And Mr. Perillo, thanks for joining us at the desk.
It's always an honor to be with you, Dillon, and you too, Cora.
So start with, how did we get here? How did Trump capture all the battleground states?
Well, essentially, it was the mobilization of his campaign and the issues that he campaigned on. People are saying essentially that the economy and crime were the two big issues. They were the most immediate issues that impacted those voters in those swing states, and that's what helped push him over the edge, especially in the blue wall, which I guess you could almost call the red wall tonight. If we take a look here at your screen, Trump won Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. So, I mean, he essentially swept what President Biden won in 2020, and in 2016, he won those. So essentially, it was a prize back to him. But before we get to that, I do want to take a look at the speeches from, I guess both were from today, President Trump, or President-elect Trump at his victory speech down in Mar-a-Lago, and Vice President Harris at her concession speech in D.C. Let's take a listen to what they both had to say.
Needs help. And it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. And we made history for a reason tonight, and the reason is going to be just that.
The fight for freedom, for opportunity, for fairness, and the dignity of all people. A fight for the ideals at the heart of our nation. The ideals that reflect America at our best.
So you can hear from them today. Vice President Harris actually delayed giving that concession speech to about 4 o'clock this afternoon, and it created quite the buzz online. Essentially, people saying, well, why didn't she give it early this morning or earlier in the day today? In 2016, when Trump beat Hillary Clinton, she gave it that next day, a little bit earlier than Kamala Harris did. So it's very interesting, guys. And moving on now, to the battlegrounds, and continuing on the battlegrounds, I should say, Trump really swept those, but that's not the full story. He also took states in the Sun Belt. He's leading in Arizona and Nevada right now. Those vote counts are not final at the moment. The Associated Press has not called that yet, which is what we're using here at Citrus TV, but he is leading there right now. He also outperformed Kamala Harris in counties that President Biden won in 2020. So the numbers are really stunning to see.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about this blue wall. Now, how exactly did Trump perform in these deep blue states?
Well, Cora, that's also very interesting. So obviously, not a lot of people go into this election and say, well, you know, Donald Trump's got a great shot at New York State or California. But he did close the gaps that were present there. If you take another look at your screen, you're going to see my home state of Rhode Island. I had to give it a little bit of a shout out tonight. Because of the gap that Trump closed in that state. It's a very liberal state, a Democrat stronghold. It has been for generations now. Trump essentially has about a 12-point gap from Harris. She won the state, but he really closed it. But I think the biggest story that people are starting to talk about today is also the support that Trump got with Black and Latino voters, especially that Latino vote. 45% of Latinos voting in this election went for Donald Trump. And that proof was seen down in Miami-Dade County in Florida. So very interesting, guys.
Yeah, Ronnie, I want to switch gears one more time. Why did Democrats fail to capture these swing voters? Not necessarily what happened there.
Well, I think that was a bit of a messaging issue. And they're seeing that today. And, you know, as this continues to kind of pan out, Democrats are going to be having a lot of conversations. They put forth Kamala Harris, who had a very short campaign run. She, I guess, was struggling with having the voters get to know her and also trying to message on her policies. She flip-flopped a lot on the campaign trail. She constantly had to be asked about, well, why did you feel about a certain policy like fracking a different way in 2019 than you feel right now? So that's what they're attributing that to, in part, tonight.
Ronnie, thank you so much.
Of course.
While these results have been shocking the nation, our Abby Tolchin is live at one of yesterday's polling sites. Abby, how did students react to Trump's victory?
I'm here in front of one of the polling stations here on Syracuse University's campus. We had the opportunity to talk to some students who chose to remain anonymous and got to hear their reactions on last night's outcome. That was so bad. That was so bad. That was so bad. All these students had shocking reactions to Donald Trump winning the election. I'm reporting live for CitrusTV. This is Abby Tolchin, Cora, and Dillon. Back to you.
Well, thank you so much, Abby, and we apologize for all the technical difficulties. From the executive to the legislative branch, Central New York has chosen its next representative for District 22. Our Lauren Holdmeyer spoke to voters last night and got their sanctions to the seat flip.
Election night in Central New York wasn't just about electing the next president of the United States. It was also a chance to choose the next congressman for New York 22. The candidates, John Mannion and Brandon Williams, have each been campaigning for months leading up to this election. Supporters of Williams, the current congressman for New York 22, gathered to rally behind him.
He's a factual guy, and I like the way he answers questions. They're direct. He seems to be in command of the facts, and I like his conclusions.
What he's done working with both parties in Congress, especially under President Biden right now.
Even with a turnout of passionate supporters, Senator John Mannion defeated Congressman Williams early in the night, about 2 hours after polls closed. Mannion, knowing the challenges ahead, says he's ready to face them.
But we have to all work together to do this. We are a divided country. We must unite, and I'm committed to doing that.
Now, the only time we heard from Williams tonight was briefly after Mannion declared his victory. However, his supporters were here and optimistic throughout the entirety of the evening.
We want to see our hard work pay off, and we want to make a difference in our community and want our values to be shown.
Williams thanking his supporters at the end of the night.
The feelings that we have is one of just incredible appreciation.
And leaving them with one final thought.
I just, next time they got to get a better candidate. I don't know what to tell you.
In Central New York, Lauren Holdmeyer, CitrusTV News.
Lauren, thank you so much. We should also note that Williams left the event without taking any questions.
That's right. But joining us now is our political anchor, Luke Radel, who has always got the answers to our questions. Luke, how did Brandon Williams lose this race?
Hey there, Dillon and Cora. Let's take a look at the map for New York's 22nd Congressional District. It includes part or all of 5 different counties. Onondaga County, which includes the city of Syracuse, Madison County, all of that is included. My home county of Oneida County, which includes the city of Utica, and parts of Cortland and Cayuga counties. And when we look at the 2024 results, it may appear as though Brandon Williams, the Republican incumbent, did a little bit better because you see he won in 3 of those counties. But you should note that Onondaga County makes up 70% of the votes for the entire district. So for Mannion to win by a lot there was really impactful. Compare Mannion's results, plus 18 in Onondaga County, to the results for Congressman Williams when he won the last time around. His challenger, Francis Connell, the Democrat, only had 12 points in Onondaga County. That was what allowed Brandon Williams to run up the numbers in Oneida County, had 33 points in the total of Oneida County compared to just 9 this time around in part of Oneida County. Madison County as well, down for the congressman from 18 points in 2022 to just 13 this time around. All in all, it was a disappointing performance for the congressman. As you heard him there speaking to supporters, did not take any questions, but he was only one of the seats that flipped to blue across New York State for the Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, Luke, you just said it. John Mannion is not alone. A couple of other Democrats flipped seats elsewhere in New York State. Can you speak more to that?
That's right. Directly south of us in New York's 19th Congressional District, there was the race going on, a rematch between Mark Molinaro, the Republican incumbent, and Josh Riley, the Democrat. You may have seen some of those TV ads that were running. It was like Brandon Williams, John Mannion, and then Josh Riley and Mark Molinaro. Well, Josh Riley came out on top this time in the rematch, winning narrowly, according to the Associated Press, by just 1 percentage point. We should note that Mark Molinaro has not yet conceded that race, even though it is currently very unlikely and probable that he will end up winning that race. Another race that is coming down to the wire, it was called by the Associated Press, is the race out on Long Island, New York's 4th congressional district. Democrat Laura Gillen, another rematch, took on Republican incumbent Anthony D'Esposito and won that race. D'Esposito also has yet to concede. There were some who hung on, though, those incumbents Mike Lawler, a Republican, and Pat Ryan, a Democrat, out of the 17th and 18th districts, respectively. They held on in the Hudson Valley. Mike Lawler has tried to pitch himself as a moderate, unlike Molinaro and Williams, who tied themselves much more closely to former President Donald Trump. It did not seem to work for them here in New York, so Democrats had some bright spots, a silver lining in a night that was filled with a lot of bad news for Democrats last night, guys.
Luke, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Cora, I want to shift gears a little bit. Well, Luke, you could stay here.
Sure.
You can hang out. This weather, we talk about it every week.
That's
on
another
Wednesday.
silver lining, right?
We say it's been rainy every single week on weather.
Yes.
Every Wednesday this semester.
Yeah, I mean, with it being sunny the other day and now today it just being completely rainy. Spencer, Congel, can we have predictable weather finally?
Cora, we're in central New York, so unfortunately, no, we cannot. Like you said, yesterday, beautiful day, beautiful, wonderful, warm day. Same thing today, still not quite as beautiful, but still pretty warm, 64 degrees right now, a lot higher than we'd expect towards the beginning of November when we would usually see the first bit of snow here in central New York. A little rainy today, but that rain has gone away from now. And as we move later into tonight, the temperatures will drop a little more, but not too far, down to around 52 overnight, and that rain will stay away for a little while. And the night will remain a bit cloudy, but nothing more than that. Still pretty warm in the 50-degree temperatures, especially for this time of the year. Though don't enjoy it while it lasts, because cold temperatures, of course, are coming to central New York. When exactly is anybody's guess, but I will have some guesses on that a little later. Until then, Dillon and Cora.
I need to remind everyone, this is the birthplace of the women's rights movement, the environmental justice movement, the LGBTQ rights movement, and the American labor movement. With that as part of our history, our story, New York will remain a bastion for freedom and rule of law.
That was New York Governor Kathy Hochul speaking to the media following the results of last night's presidential election.
She said she's ready to continue fighting for New York alongside the other Democrats who won their races, such as Kristen Gillibrand and John Mannion.
Coming up on News Live at 6, what all NY ballots had in common and how it impacted results when your campus news leader returns in 2 minutes.
Come on, it's not that hard.
My big man fingers are having a problem with these little tiny buttons.
Whoa, watch it there. Your blood pressure's gonna go through the roof.
Tell me about it. I'm trying to learn how to get it down. Instead, it keeps going up.
High blood pressure can increase the risk for heart attack or stroke. Learn how to keep yours at a healthy range.
Ever hear a voice command? Just say text barbershop to 97779.
That's not what I said.
Just give me that. Now my blood pressure's up.
Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. Prediabetes does. 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, but with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. And you can change the outcome. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test today. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org.
You're watching CitrusTV News live at 6 with Dillon Brendle, Cora Mayer-Costa, and Spencer Congel. Now, your campus news leader continues.
Welcome back to News Live at 6. Continuing with election coverage, all voters around New York State had one thing in common when it came to what's on their ballots: Proposition 1. New Yorkers chose to approve the measure updating the Equal Rights Amendment to the state's constitution.
The clarification will protect pregnancy, pregnancy outcomes, and reproductive health care and autonomy. The initiative came with major pushback. Opponents of Prop 1 argued it would encourage transgender participation in sports, non-citizen voting, and difficulties tracking inmate genders in prison.
Dillon, 8 other states have codified abortion access on their ballots. In alphabetical order, Arizona voted at a roughly 2/3 margin to confirm abortion access before the point of fetal viability, or when a fetus could survive outside of utero.
To Colorado, where at the same percentage, voters in the Centennial State amended their constitution to solidify the right to an abortion and use of public funds to perform them.
Down south in Florida, the majority of people in the Sunshine State voted to add abortion protections to their state's constitution, but the necessary threshold of 60% was not met.
In Maryland, Question 1, establishing the right to reproductive freedom, was passed at almost 75%.
In Missouri, Amendment 3 narrowly passed at a roughly 52-48 margin to codify the right to reproductive freedom, including childbirth, pre- and postpartum care.
In Montana, a state with a highly anticipated Senate race, the titled Right to an Abortion Initiative was passed at a 57-43% vote.
Another state with a tight Senate race and the same named initiative is Nebraska. The voting against a right to an abortion before fetal viability has a margin of just 21,000 votes currently. They also voted to prohibit abortions after the first trimester with a bit of a wider gap.
In the battleground state of Nevada, Question 6, adding to their constitution the right to an abortion before fetal viability and after when medically necessary.
And finally, in South Dakota, with a 20-point gap, the Mount Rushmore state denied Amendment G that would provide abortion access in their constitution.
Let's look at other ballot measures across the country, starting with marijuana. In Florida, a legalization resolution failed. It needed 60% to pass. Currently, only medical marijuana is legal there.
Meanwhile, in Nebraska, a measure to legalize medical marijuana passed with a 70% approval. The law allows possession of up to 5 ounces of cannabis with written medical recommendation.
Over to the Dakotas now, where the northern state failed to legalize recreational pot with a less than 20,000 vote margin.
And south of that, the Mount Rushmore state again failing to legalize recreational possession and distribution of marijuana, 56-44%.
Let's also check on nationwide efforts to raise the minimum wage. Again, in alphabetical order, Alaska approved raising in minimum pay to $15 an hour, and the state will require employers to provide paid sick leave.
In Arizona, voters rejected a plan to lower minimum wage for tipped staff. The rule would only be in effect if the business could prove the employers were taking home $2 more than minimum wage every hour.
In California, a proposition to raise the base pay rate to $18 by 2026 was narrowly rejected, 52-48%.
Meanwhile, in Massachusetts, voters rejected a measure to share tip wages with restaurant staff who don't work with customers and gradually increase the lowest wages until 2029. The state's current minimum wage for tipped staff is $6.75.
And finally, in Missouri, a ballot initiative passed 58-42%, now establishing a $13.75 minimum wage by next year and $15 an hour by 2026. It will also provide an hour of paid sick leave for every 30 hours worked. New details now. A man shot in Syracuse parking lot has been identified. Yesterday morning, 23-year-old Alberto Chirino was killed in a shootout.
Police say Chirino was shot multiple times in the chest soon after 9 in the morning. He was taken to Upstate University Hospital where he was pronounced dead.
And coming up on News Live at 6, I'll have your full 5-day forecast and a look at what temperatures to expect this November. Stay with us.
From the Citrus TV Weather Center, this is SU's most accurate weather forecast.
Welcome back to News Live at 6. As we take a look at our 5-day forecast here, things are looking a little rainy, but temperature-wise overall not too bad. We're looking to stay in the 50-degree temperatures, getting up to around 60 degrees on Monday, only getting into the high 30s in the evening on Friday and Saturday night. So nothing too chilly to worry about. A windbreaker would probably be fine for most of this week. Or maybe a rain jacket if you're going outside tomorrow morning, Sunday afternoon, or anytime on Monday. We do have a little bit of rain coming in. But like I said, temperatures looking pretty good. Now, in the month of November, let's take a look at what we're expecting to see this month. So these are the temperatures for last November, November 2023. We had a maximum high in November of 65 degrees. We've already blown way past that yesterday, and a low of 24. We do have a pretty high range of temperatures, and we do expect to see some snow sometime in November. So you're gonna want all types of clothes, your summer clothes, your winter clothes, because November is anyone's guess what we're going to expect in these next few weeks here. That's all I've got for weather for now. Dillon?
Yes, Spencer, thank you. I don't really mind that. I don't mind breaking out the short sleeves again every now and again. But hey, now for a quick check of our stocks. All three markets are up today, so we want to highlight the movers from last night's election results. Trump Media was up more than $10 a share from election day to this morning. Now shares are leveling out, up about 6% today.
High-profile Trump supporter Elon Musk's Tesla stock jumped $25 overnight. It's up by nearly 15% today. Bitcoin also hit an all-time high, jumping 8% today after Trump pledged his support for crypto during his campaign.
Guys, coming up in sports, Syracuse field hockey and men's soccer team are both in ACC tournament play. I'll have more about that on the other side.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? You haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
If you're buzzed and doing this, to make yourself feel okay to drive,
ZWX.
you're not okay to drive.
YGKLVW. Regular you.
They took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now,
and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
And now, your Citrus TV Sports Report.
Red, blue, how about orange? Plenty of sports happening on the Hill. Welcome into sports. I'm AJ Myers. Syracuse women's basketball tipped off its new campaign last night. After an NCAA tournament selection last season, expectations were understandably increased, yet those polls slipped after star point guard Deasia Fair departed, along with standout freshman Alyssa Latham. How did the Orange fare against Niagara on night one? Let's get to the highlights. Syracuse got off to a good start early on. The Dome crowd, a little bit lighter. Of course, we all know there was something a little bit more important happening last night. But last season, Syracuse, they only lost 3 times at home, and they got off to a great start. Isabel Verjao with the steal. Syracuse quickly goes the other way with Dominique Camp. She feeds inside to not Alyssa Latham, but rather Elena Wood, replacing Alyssa Latham. Georgia Woolley, she's the one that really needs to step up on the offensive side with no Deasia Fair. Free throw line jumper is good. Syracuse continuing to rein in the offense. Dominique Camp, she missed all of last season with an injury. Step back 3 looks pretty good on night one. But Niagara, they did not get blown out in this game early on. They kept it arm's length, and the reason for that was the threes. They hit 6 of them. That kept them in the game throughout this contest. Another one, this is off of a Syracuse turnover. If you get to the quarter, that 3 is true, but Niagara can hit threes, so can Syracuse, especially Georgia Woolley. The Orange are going to need her to do this a lot this season. Hit those 3-pointers. She knocks that one down there. She was one of those players to get in double figures, and Syracuse would cruise to a 108-84 win. Here's what FLJ had to say after the game.
The way we had to win last year as a team was to go through Deasia Fair, and that seemed to work with 24 wins. And this year we're just going to have to do it a little bit different. We're going to push with a pass, and we're going to share it differently.
Winning is certainly simple when the team gets 6 players in double figures. First time the Orange have done that in 4 campaigns. Forward Cora Wood led the way with 19 points on 9 of 12 shooting with 8 rebounds. Center Isabel Verjao hauled in 5 boards and was perfect from the floor. The Cuse are undefeated in season openers in the last 17 years. Next on the dock for Syracuse is St. Joe's Sunday. It's all on the line for Syracuse field hockey today. The Cuse came away with a narrow 1-0 victory against Virginia yesterday in the ACC quarterfinals. Today, the group goes up against top-ranked North Carolina. The Tar Heels are undefeated, not lost in over a year. So how did SU fare? It didn't go too well. The Tar Heels fell 3-1. And unfortunately for Syracuse, that ends their ACC tournament play, but they still got the NCAA tournament play coming up soon. Guys, back to you.
AJ, thank you. One last check of the weather when we come back.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When you wake up, we're going to see some 50-degree temperatures with some morning clouds turning into some afternoon sunshine.
Not too bad. Hey, thank you, Spencer. That's Citrus TV News Live at 6 for this Wednesday.
Now for the entire Citrus TV News team, I'm Cora Mayer-Costa.
I'm Dillon Brendle. That's Spencer Congel. Have a great night, Syracuse.